And start the recording. Switch screens. All right, so welcome back, guys. This is our second session of the Adiona game. I'm really looking forward to today's session. As you may note, we have a guest with us. Mr. Beckett will be joining us for the beginning of the session. I think it'll be a treat for both him and pretty much anyone who's following my little quote-unquote canon little universe that I've got going on. But other than that, the only announcement I have is that I am still looking for a replacement player for Ophion. So if you can make 2:15 p.m. EDT on Saturdays, go ahead and drop me a line on Twitter, on Roll20, on Reddit, um, and we'll see about maybe getting you into the game. But other than that, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the captain's log if the captain is ready.
Stand by one. Let me access my panel. I think Starfleet's still using Word. Alrighty. Stardate 58104.3. The Adiona has spent the last several days escorting the USS Fleming to its destination at Starbase 621. During that duty, we've received word that our encounter with the Zenkethi was just a small scene in a much larger play. The Zenkethi, Breen, Gorn, Tholian, Romulan, and the Kinshaya have formed the Typhon Pact for some unknown reason to us. No doubt it'll mean trouble for the Federation and its allies. Despite this, our orders are unchanged. We are currently underway to Deep Space Daedalus to finish our checklist for entering the gate.
Okay. So, unless you guys literally wanted to use QSD from 621 to DSD, I'm going to say you guys are currently at your lovely cruising speed of about Warp 8. And as per usual, I do want to open the floor to any bits of RP people want to get out of the way before arrival at DSD. So does anyone have anything they want to get out of the way? And if not, we can just skip ahead.
A small question for the Vulcan. Do you want to go over the fact that our characters are going to be clashing heads while we're sharing a room?
If you answer that question that I always ask, how do you regenerate?
Sounds like a scene to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a scene. I'll put us in the quarters. But you guys can go ahead and start it because I got to switch like 7 screens to get to the quarters.
Oh, I imagine we're kind of, each in our bed, and I'm being a little, basically persistent in some questions, so I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
Lieutenant Commander, have you had an inspection team go to the portside field generator?
Didn't we go and fix that before the battle?
I'm trying to be certain that it is in operating specifications.
I'll send them tomorrow. Does it need to be fixed tonight?
Not necessarily, but sooner is better. A few more minutes pass. Lieutenant Commander, do we want to run more simulations on the QSD drive?
I immediately turn over and look at it and say, it is incredibly late right now, and I don't think a simulation would do us any good right now.
Excuse me, Commander. Have a good night.
You better not start saying pie in your sleep again.
Pi?
Yeah, like 3.14 whatever.
I am not aware that I talk in my sleep.
Well, you do.
Okay, I will endeavor to cease my talking in sleep.
Also, why did you mumble last night that you wanted a hug from something?
I am not certain, Commander. Do you have an idea that I should be worried about?
I have no idea what's going inside your head. You have to answer my questions.
I cannot recall that, Commander.
I sigh warily and close the screen again. As I start praying he doesn't actually start saying pie in his sleep again.
Well, I imagine I do at some point during the night.
Oh dear. All right. Well, that's a nice little quaint scene. I always love a little bit of character development. Anything else anybody wants to get out of the way before arrival at DSD? Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and skip to DSD, and I will put you on. Where's DSD? Oh, that's the ready room. There's DSD. All right, so the Adiona exits warp on the edge of Tau Eta 5 of the Tau Eta 5 system. Now, Tau Eta 5 is unique in several ways. It has a trinary star arrangement. It has 3 Class L planets that share the same circular orbit of that trinary star system. And perhaps most important of all is that this system contains a working Takan stellar transporter system. Now, all of this prompted Starfleet to build Deep Space Daedalus in the system in 2378 for probably obvious reasons. Chief among them was to pretty much ensure that no one else could get their hands on the stellar transporter system, because that is some serious tech right there. But it also has the benefit of being the hub of activity for the greater Sabine Expanse. And again, for flavor, the Sabine Expanse is sort of what I've called the area beyond Cardassian space, to the west or to the left on most star maps. Now, as for DSD itself, it sort of sits between the orbits of the Class Ls and one of the Class Js. It is styled after Copernicus Station, with 3 large docks for starships and 3 smaller ones for smaller craft. Currently in dock is the USS Lysithea, a Luna-class vessel, and as the captain knows, he is expecting a communication from someone on the Lysithea. Now, it's also worth noting that the Lysithea has spent the last couple of years exploring a small portion of the Andromeda Galaxy, so it might prove useful for you all to connect with the crew, or at least, do something with their computer banks to sort of get a feel for where you're going. And yeah, that's all I have to read. The Adiona kind of comes to station keeping just off the station. And let's see. Yes, Zava sort of turns to you, Captain, and says, Captain, I'm receiving a communication for you. Seems to be on a personal channel.
I'll take it in my ready room.
Understood, sir. So,
Get up and go to the ready room.
Okay. So, when you sit down and, kind of tap the button on your little laptop, whatever we call it in the 24th century, you hit the button on your laptop, and sure enough, it is Captain Beckett of the USS Lysithea. And I'm going to let you guys run the conversation, because I think you guys got it from here.
Captain Williams.
Beckett, how are you doing?
I'm quite well. Glad to be on, on this side of the you-know-what. If you have some time now that you're here at lovely Deep Space Daedalus, would you mind meeting me? We can go over some information.
Alrighty. Is this should we be discreet about this at all with the information that we're dealing with, or no?
Not really. There will be some information that probably shouldn't be set out in the open, but the place I have in mind is kind of quiet. But feel free to bring whatever member of your crew you would like. I will probably be by myself, maybe one extra person, and Beckett will kind of smile, only because she doesn't like me going places by myself.
I understand. I'll bring my exo and my science officer just in case. I figured there's going to be a lot more information than my head can be wrapped around.
Beckett will kind of nod and smirk. Not a problem. There's a little place on DSD called Zakes. It's a small, quiet little working man's bar owned by a Tellarite. Meet me there, say 20 minutes?
Sure. Does he have anything decent there?
Oh, I'm keeping him well stocked.
All right. See you in 20.
All right. So yeah, communication, cuts off, and you have 20 minutes to kill before you are expected at the bar. So did you want to do anything before then?
Other than just summon the crew members mentioned.
Okay. So
So
that
I-
is Commander Morgan and Lieutenant Merrick. Yep.
Yep. So I'd go over the comms and say, Morgan, Merrick, meet me in my ready room real quick. We got some work to do.
Sir, I would also suggest security.
On my way, Captain.
And ready room. All right. Yeah, you guys can go ahead as I get tokens on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just messaged you on on the token that you'll need besides Beckett's.
Okay. Yeah. I actually have her token ready in just such an occasion.
I kind of figured you did.
Yeah, didn't need too much of a scene change. Just let them know that they need to meet up with me before heading out because we got some work to do on the station.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you actually wanted to make a scene of it or not. Okay.
No, not too much information.
I just have one comment. I would suggest we bring a security officer.
What reason is that there, sir?
A bar, sir?
Oh, you're Starfleet, aren't you? Can't you handle yourself?
I'm more worried about your safety, sir.
I'm a pararescueman. Don't worry about me.
Very well, sir.
Are you afraid of bars, Merrick?
It is not a very conductive environment.
That's just I suppose that's just the Vulcan in you talking. It's a communal experience. Sometimes, although however unlikely, roughhousing tends to be a part of it.
Is that in order to get into a bar fight, sir?
If something like that ever happens, the only order I'll give you is to win.
Understood, sir.
All right. So, in that case, we're just going to go ahead and cut to you all arriving at Zayix. So, waiting for you in this sort of, I would call it a quaint bar. It's not quite small enough to be a hole in the wall, but it is certainly no quirks. It is just a single floor. There's probably enough room in here for, I would say, maybe 20 people. And waiting for you at one of the larger tables is one Captain Beckett. And with him is an alien that none of you have really seen the species of before. She is rather tall. She's about 7 feet tall. She has this sort of flowing white hair that sort of trails in a ponytail behind her. She has sort of ears that stick up straight, and she has what I would describe as digigrade feet, and is otherwise wearing a Starfleet uniform, even though this particular token does not show her in one. She is wearing Operations Gold, or so she's either Operations or she's Security. You get the idea. As for Captain Beckett, I'm going to let him describe himself if he so wishes.
Beckett is still wearing the Science is Blue. He, other than what his token shows, which I believe is 3 pips, there's now a 4th. There's more graying in his hair, especially around the ears, and around pretty much on the center of his chin than what the token would show, or the last anytime anybody on this side has seen him. And the alien, as described, that is sitting with him is actually, as the token shows, sitting at a table behind him, respectfully giving him a little bit of room, but also anybody with any kind of security background would see that she is keeping a very close eye on her captain. And shockingly, at a Starfleet base, both of them are armed. Beckett will see Williams and the two other officers walk in and will motion to them to join him at the larger table.
All right. So I figure everybody's on my left and right walking in. I'll walk up to Captain Beckett, give him a nice firm handshake. It's like, good to see you, Captain Beckett.
And you too, Captain Williams. And I suppose these are your XO and your science officer?
Correct, Commander Morgan and Lieutenant Merrick.
Pleasure to meet both of you, and he'll offer his hand to both.
Likewise, Captain Beckett. Morgan reaches out and shakes Captain's hand.
I do the same, Captain.
Now, before we get into this hoity-toity stuff, what drink were you talking about?
Oh, well, see, I have this hobby of brewing my own alcohol. So, and Beckett will kind of lean back in his chair and kind of motion to Zays at the bar. Another round of the stuff I brought. And the bartender, a rather portly Tellarite, will walk over with bottles of seemingly beer. Beckett will kind of pass them around the table. This is what I'm calling the Andorian Ale. Andromeda Ale. Alliteration gets me every time. And he'll kind of smile, and I have a problem of naming stuff after places I've been, so well, it's kind of obvious why this one is named that.
Still a good name nonetheless.
Yeah. And I don't really do hoity-toity that much, so pretty much everything I do is for those of us that actually work for a living, even with a fourth pip on my collar.
I think this is going to be the start of a beautiful friendship. I'll raise a glass to him.
And Beckett will mirror the salute. So, I hear you are going to be following in my footsteps as far as going through the gate.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I know that the Beckett will kind of smirk. The Lion King will give you all of the official rundown of everything you're probably going to need to be doing. Svarja will kind of start laughing, and Beckett goes, "By Lion King, I mean Admiral Thesso. If you haven't met him yet, my joke will play itself out later. But when
is he really that beardy?
Well, he's a Cation, and it's less beard and more mane. When I took this spot, after I was told our mission was 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years to get back here, but I was also told that to have this kind of meeting for the next person that would be going through what we have kind of nicknamed Pandora Station. And it's to give you a more firsthand and, let's say, living library of things that have happened and some of the people that we've run into on the other side.
All right, character note. If we all didn't get a drink, I'll pass it to Commander Morgan so he can get a sip.
Well, I would say you probably had enough for everyone if they so wished. Obviously, Eric has abstained, but he is taking good notes.
All right, understood.
So that's kind of what this is, because there's, and we'll get to him in a minute, but there's a couple of unwritten kind of, let's say, hush hush wink wink type, and he'll look at the Vulcan dead in the face and go, "That means the Admiral isn't going to tell you, so someone else needs to tell you in person."
At
and
that,
just kind of like
Sparja will actually burst out laughing, but very quickly will stifle it. So, excuse me.
and but again, as I said, we have run into some things on the other side, and I understand that you won't be going over in a ship of the same class or stature as a Luna class, correct?
No, we're pretty much a roadster.
Gotcha. Well, then there is a couple of things that you'll need to know. No, Windows, I do not want you to restart. First of all, the main thing, and Beckett will pull out of. He's kind of got the cargo pant type pockets going in his uniform. He'll pull out a pad, and he'll slide it off across the table, face up. He's not trying to hide anything, but on that pad is some of the information that my CMO, Commander Natala, has come up with. We ran into some very strong ambient delta radiation. It seems to be increasing the closer you get to the core of the galaxy. We haven't really had too much of a problem because seeing as how where Pandora Station is, it doesn't really hit that far. But Commander Natala has given in that pad information on how to detect and see if any of that delta radiation is becoming a little bit too serious. But again, I don't know the exact nature of your mission because, frankly, I don't need to know it. But if you do go further towards the core, that is something you'll need to really keep your eye on. We really only explored about 10 cubic light years outside the gate. We have gone further, but that was more to handle a couple of things. Are you familiar at all with the Shackleton Expanse?
Mainly just mission reports and such that I have access to. I've heard there's some exciting things happening over there.
There is. There is in there, as well as on the other side, there is an overabundance of gravimetric eddies. Think of them as, and Beckett will kind of like thoughtfully look up to the ceiling, not so fancy black holes. The Shackleton Expanse is just shot through with them. That's something else you'll have to keep an eye on. But you'll get a lot of that in the reports that you get from us. The sensor suite that's on the Lysithia is quite good. The next thing to bring up is a couple of the people that we've run into on the other side. One of them is quite friendly in a species known as the Frila. For anybody actually taking notes, it is actually spelled Frila, but it is pronounced Frila. And a species known as the Toth, Toth. Both species have warp capabilities, and the nicer of the two, the Frila, are descendants of a species that the Ophion kind of ran into some very old information about, known as the Frequa. And Beckett will kind of turn to Svarja and say, the Frequa, and he'll look at Svarja, kind of like, kind of a nod to like, she's one of them.
She just sort of turns and waves and says, "Yes, that would be me. Hi."
Excuse me? Hello? This is Dr. Galen. Who's communicating with me currently?
Who activated a comm?
I activated the comm.
Turn that thing off for now.
Sorry, Doctor.
Goodbye.
Sarja actually does raise an eyebrow and says, you know, Captain, he does remind me of Panek.
Beckett will just nod with a big smirk on his face. He does.
Apologies for that, Captain Beckett. I'll be sure to make sure that's locked down for later.
Lieutenant,
Oh,
my apologies.
Oh, go ahead.
Lieutenant, when we return to the ship, we're going to have another conversation about social bar etiquette.
Beckett will kind of look back and forth to see that everything's kind of calmed down a little bit. And then...
After I kind of set it out, it's like, my apologies, Captain. Please continue.
The Fryla are actually descendants of the Frequa, which is what Lieutenant Svarja here is a member of. They actually, other than herself, no longer exist in the Milky Way. They are a very open, a very trusting, and what I have found, especially with the help of my tactical officer here, very nice, as long as you are nice to them. I have made very good inroads with them, and they are very open and very welcoming. They are more than happy to interact with any member of the crew, and as a matter of fact, as at least with my crew having, well, over 300 people on it from 25 different planets, they were very interested to learn about all the other species that they've never seen before. I would, myself being a doctor and having a doctorate in xenobiology, it doesn't hurt to exchange information along those lines. And actually, while I'm still on the Fryla, they are probably the best place for you to go to if you end up needing just a good port of call or end up needing guides around the area. They are more than happy to help with that. And he'll look back at Svarja. What was the consulate general's name? Sam?
Samisia.
Samisia. Samisia is their consulate general. Very nice. As I said, if you invite them to dinner one time, they will probably love you for the rest of their lives. Now on to the little bit not so nice people that we've run into. The Toth. They are very confrontational, very territorial, and a little bit expansionist. Best way I can describe them, and some of my crew, especially the older ones, have brought up is, think of the Klingons before we all signed the Khitomer Accords. They are a shoot first, ask questions second type people. The first time we ran into them, almost ran into a fire, ended in a firefight. But thankfully, I kind of talked them down and made them think that I had better weapons than I actually did. And Beckett will just kind of shrug. At all information and reports, their ships were on par with the Little Sister. So for you guys, your speed is probably going to be your best bet. And their speed, however, a few of their ships could keep up with us. And the Luna class, and especially the tooled up engines that the Little Sister has. The nickname for the Lysithia is the Little Sister. That's what I refer to her as. They can keep up with us at warp 95, 96. We've gotten 97 and 98 out of our engines, and they have a few ships that can keep up with that. So for you guys being able to go faster than that, and he kind of winks, your speed's going to be your best bet. Other than that, something you may have to go in your history books for. Another species that we didn't really run into, but we heard a lot of mention of, the Fryla have great texts on them, is a group known as the Kelvin Empire. Now, I would suggest maybe becoming a little bit more aware. Granted, again, we did not run into them, but I believe, of course, with most things, Kirk has volumes on Horsebach running into members of the Kelvin Empire. We found out from the Fryla that they used to be more near towards the galactic core, but have since moved off towards the outer rim to get away from the radiation. Apparently, it doesn't really sit well with them. And one last thing before we get to the, and he'll look at the Vulcan again, the verbally communicated orders, and then just kind of nod, and then go back to the captain. You're going to want to stay, or at least try to be, within 75 light years of Station Pandora. Mainly because I got lucky in the fact that the little sister and her Midas link pods were able to keep us in communication with some of the gun platforms and, well, the station around Pandora. Seeing as how you don't have that, any kind of communication you're going to want to send through will have to be done within that 75 light years. Anything further than that, the radiation and other things just seem to mouth up any communications. So before I get to the other things, I know I've kind of given you a huge data dump. Are there any questions or anything you want to toss out here before I get on to the juicy stuff?
Well, first of all, you mentioned the Frequa aren't here in the Milky Way. Were they here at one point?
The species was. They had fought a very long and protracted battle. Well, not battle, war with another species. The Frequa, if I'm right, I'm old, so my memory is kind of bad, and he'll look back to Svarja. You guys did win that war, correct?
Oh, all indications are that we did, yes. The Sabine Expanse is full of life, and you all are not currently enslaved, so yeah, I think we won.
And Beckett will smirk and throw his thumb back towards Svarja. So, yeah. But this was also, well, an extremely long time ago.
Well, I'll give a nod to Svarja, say, well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
You see, it pays to keep her around, except in war game scenarios, you kind of have to remind her that they're not live fire.
One time, Beckett. One time I did it, and you still have not let it go after all these years.
Let's just say 2 years ago, she almost blew up a third of the Ophion during a war game scenario because she didn't understand that war games meant powered down weapons. But anyways, we will move on from that.
Of course.
Any other questions?
Let's see here. Do we have map data for these regions' sphere of influence for the like the Freela, the Thoth, and the Kelvin Empire at all?
Yeah. We definitely do. One of the things that we brought along with us, besides our heavy-duty sensor equipment, is quite a few. Why am I losing the word?
Stellar cartography people?
Stellar cartography people. Again, I'm getting old. And so we've done that 10 cubic light year area we talked about is heavily mapped. We do have spheres of influence, and as much as we've been able to figure out, obviously the Kelvin Empire we have nothing on. The Toth, we have the borders that we've stumbled into, and then waved at them as we left. But other than that, a few planets here and there, stellar bodies, things like that, but nothing beyond that.
I assume the other small details are included in your report on the pad.
Oh yeah. There's also in there. I don't know who your CMO is, but having served as a CMO aboard multiple ships as well as a trauma surgeon aboard hospital ships, I've included some information on some very tough cases and things that we've run into in the on the other side, as well as if you have any drinkers aboard your ship, there is a well, let's just call it a hangover cure in there as well. My chief engineer and I tend to drink. So other than that, any other small details, things, they'll definitely be in the report on that pad.
Yeah, it's including mainly because I'm an ex-pararescueman. Anything for like first aid for known weapons or anything else that's different from anything we have, you've included in there as well?
Yeah, everything is definitely in there. And they the Toth, like the Klingons, tend to use bladed weapons. They prefer close-in combat, so contusions, lacerations. If you've ever patched someone up after fighting Klingons, then you'll be good to go with that.
Lovely.
Other than that, we've never, other than a couple of my crew deciding they wanted to spar with the Fryla, we've never had any open hostilities with them. So, but they seem to be kind of on the lines of us as far as energy weapons, though they do tend to pack some, well, are you familiar with gyrojet technology? Or
that's pretty old hat stuff, isn't it?
Or gauze technology? Not as in bandages, gauze?
Well, yeah, I'm familiar, but that's pretty old stuff. I mean, they're still using that. I mean, granted, it may be ramped up to modern equivalents, but
yeah, they have stuff that's kind of scary, to be honest. The Ophion got one of the older models that the Frequa had, and well, the two engineers we had aboard our ship, the two main ones anyways, theorized that it could probably punch a hole through our ship from the inside.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, yeah. But as I said, the Fryla, no open hostilities. So unless someone in your crew really makes something heinously bad, I think most of it can just be covered up with, not covered up, but can be dealt with pleasantries and a very stern, I will get to the bottom of this.
You think they respond better to home-cooked food?
Well, a couple of their members came to like some of my brews and would happily give any information, especially information I got from about the Kelvins, with a couple of cases of actual alcohol, and they were very happy with it.
How many casks you got of this stuff by chance?
Oh, well, I've quite a bit, especially seeing as how a couple of the stations around here are selling their real alcohol is pretty much stuff that I've made. So I can load you up a little bit, and I've been meaning to go back. I owe the Consulate General. I promised them a couple bottles of blood wine, which I didn't have aboard my ship. But I'll have that sent over with some of my stuff as well.
That's cool. But I only really needed like 2 casks, one for the crew and then one for ambassadorial duties.
I have found that my little hobby that I used to hide from my superiors has become very good at the diplomacy duties that I've had to undertake in Andromeda.
But of course.
And And he'll look. Beckett will look to Commander Morgan and Merrick. Any questions from either one of you?
Captain Beckett, has Starfleet approached any of the Kelvin descendants that are here in the Milky Way?
Not that I know of, other than the one that Kirk and the original Enterprise ran into. Not that I'm aware of. No.
Maybe you misunderstand me. There were a number of them that settled here within the Federation, as I understand. Did they even try to talk to them about their experiences?
Again, I honestly don't know.
So Sparja will actually save you and says, I know what you're probably thinking, and if you're thinking that the Kelvins on this side of the gate are anything like the ones in Andromeda, no. Based on what we were able to read of the Fryla records, the Kelvins on that side of the gate are just as hostile as the Kelvins were when Kirk initially encountered them.
And the ones on that side of the gate, they don't look like humans, like the ones on this side do.
Yes, I understand. And as I recall, it was a generational ship that crossed the void.
Or attempted to, anyways. But yeah, other than what Sparja just said, yeah, I honestly don't know if we've reached out or anything along those lines. I was more worried about them randomly showing up in a sector that I happen to be in and deciding that I shouldn't be there.
And Captain, based on what you said about the operating radius around the gateway and the interference with communications, the region that you scanned was never beyond the 75 light years?
We did do some mapping and scanning of the areas outside there. 75 was as far as I could go with my Midas pods and still be able to communicate back with the station. And anything beyond that, the Midas pods couldn't reach them. So without it, you're going to be a lot more limited. We did go beyond that, but as far as a 100% complete mapping is only about the 10 cubic light years.
Quick
Very
GM note:
Very well.
our stuff is at 12. Are we actually stronger than the Ophion, as far as we know?
Which 12 are you referring to? The sensors?
Correct.
Yes, in fact, you were actually better than the Lysithia, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
Lysithia's
officially
11.
somewhat of a science vessel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, the Lysithia is an 11 on her stats, but we also have the advanced sensor suite talents.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll let them know. We might have a little bit more resolution. We'll see what we can get done.
Well, as I said, I'm just relaying my experiences. Hopefully, you guys will not have any problems.
Of course.
And if there's no other questions, I'll get to the last two parts of this little informal, formal briefing.
Go ahead.
Well, Morgan
Go
pops
ahead.
up on
Go
interest.
ahead, Commander.
Captain Beckett and Lieutenant Sarja, with everything that you've mentioned, with everything that you've experienced, it honestly seems like Andromeda is... And he smirks to the side. Quite a wonderful adventure, to put it lightly. But my question, honestly, is what's the one thing that you thought... What's the one thing that you guys think that kept you alive over there? It seems like you had more hostiles than allies, to be quite honest.
Well, I would like to say and chalk it up to my dashing good looks, but the crew of the Lysithia was handpicked, fortunately to an extent, not by me. The crew was picked as all younger again, except for myself and, well, Svarja gets a pass. Younger, bright, head of their field people. Every person went over there knowing that they had no clue what was on the other side of that gate. Every person went over knowing that we could legitimately be walking into hell. And every person not only took that and succeeded, but worked together. There was zero inter-crew problems. Even with, and Beckett will smirk, even with having actual alcohol aboard the ship, we had zero crew problems. Crew morale was high at all times. Well, okay, most times. But we always knew that the person to your right and to your left, and the person sitting in the big chair, was the right person for the job, and they were also watching out for you. We understood that we were probably going into a hostile environment. And for the most part, we were true. Hell, the galaxy itself did not want us there. I don't think that galaxy really wants anybody there. Hence why all of the radiation that's going through it. But we all took it as a point of pride. Granted, we may have been the second Starfleet ship through there, but we were going to make a big impression. And thankfully, we did. And as a captain, and he'll kind of like nod to Captain Williams, I'm proud to say that I didn't lose a single crew member. And that's going through some battles. That's going on to planets that it felt like the planet itself didn't want us there. But we always knew that the other people that were with us were with us. And nobody was out for anybody else's jobs. Nobody was negative or pessimistic. Hell, just going through the gate and getting to the other side and reading your sensors on what's on the other side would make anybody feel the dread and the weight of everything in the universe on them. And that's actually part of one of the unofficial orders. And Beckett will kind of make air quotes with one of his hands. And you see Beckett, who has been very jovial, very lighthearted, obviously thrown a little bit of shade and a little bit of jokes at the Vulcan, get extremely serious. Think of a very serious, not disappointed, but a very serious fatherly look. And Beckett is old. We took this mission, and the reason I was chosen to be the captain of Lysithia to go through that gate was because when the Ophion originally went through that gate, the engineers, the scientists, my own captain, were so caught up in what we found on the other side of the gate that they wanted to find a way of studying, of bringing it back. They wanted to send communications stating what we found. What did I want to do? I wanted to blow up the gate. I was picked because I had zero compulsion or compunction to not sacrifice my entire crew, my ship, and myself and blow up that gate if what I found on the other side I felt was a threat to not only Starfleet, but to the Alpha and the Beta Quadrants and the Milky Way as a whole. That's one of the unofficial orders. Is if when you get to the other side, If something comes at you that is massively beyond comprehension of its destructive power, that's what you need to do. And when you get through the gate, you're going to find a graveyard of things that have that power. Are you familiar with planet killers? And he'll look at all three of them.
Just what's in the reports, but I have my own experiences to remind me to keep my head on a swivel and get out while you can.
One planet killer. It took a Constitution-class ship being rigged to explode and shoved down the throat of it just to stop it. On the other side of that gate, there are dozens of them.
52 to be precise, Captain.
Okay. There are 5 dozen of them that are all destroyed. Not really destroyed. Let's just say inert. Now, I told my captain, and I put it into an official report, that I did not want the destructive power of what was sitting on the other side of that gate coming over here. I do not trust anyone with that kind of information. I have served Starfleet for a hell of a long time, so both my parents. And I would never want even Starfleet to have the ability to recreate or get one of those active. Aboard the Ophion, we ran into what happens when people get weapons that can destroy planets. And I don't know about you, but I'll be goddamned if I'm ever going to let anybody get that kind of power again. So us going into Andromeda, yeah, it's for exploration. It's also to make sure who knows about what's just on the other side of that gate. And thankfully...
How long have you been on this side of the gate after finishing your mission over there, Captain?
Our mission was for 2 years. We spent 2 years, 4 months, and 1 week to be exact.
GMs know I'm going to reference my character background for a moment.
Oh, I would say
No, I mean I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna reference one of the data points of the medal that I got.
Oh, I gotcha.
Did you by chance read the report for that recent event on Dython 4?
How recent of an event was that?
About 6 months ago.
Then no. I am 2 years, 4 months, and 1 week behind on any current events.
All right. Well, just to update you, I ended up getting the decoration of gallantry for pulling some stuff out of the fire on that mission. Let me settle your nerves right here, Captain. If you're worried about somebody failing to do what they need to secure the safety of the Milky Way, I just had to do that on a small scale on this planet. I have no hesitation in doing what I need to do to defend the Milky Way.
Beckett will nod. Well, he kind of looks back to Svarja. I knew there was a reason. And he turns back around to you and says, I told Svarja before we came here that there had to be a reason why you were chosen to go onto that side. Well, now I know. And most of my crew, the senior staff, knew. Because most of them were on the Ophion. And most of them knew that at that conference table, I was outnumbered mostly, 6-2. 7 if you count the guest, of doing what I wanted to do. And as a good Starfleet officer, I accepted what my captain decided. But I am relieved to hear that you were willing to make that choice.
It's all a part of sitting in the chair.
And before I move on to who that guest was, and he gets kind of a very annoyed look on his face. I'm going to let you in on a very tiny little secret that I know Captain Skull would have no problem with me telling you, if it comes to that. Send a message to myself or Captain Skull the Opion. The two of us will drop whatever we are doing, and we will run to that gate. Whether to get you out before we destroy it, or to make sure that it gets closed. That is something that no admiral's going to tell you.
Understood, Captain. I'll keep that in mind.
And hopefully, after refit, rest, and saying goodbye and hello to some crew, I'll be going back through. But the last thing I need to tell you, you're a captain. I know you've read the reports. He looks to Commander Morgan. I'm sure you've read the reports. He looks to Merrick and he goes, I'm sure you've heard of the reports. You do know who Q is, correct?
Yeah, I think you can't really pass the captain's test without being informed somewhat of Q.
And Beckett will kind of chuckle to himself. Well, let's just say there's one on that side of the gate too. Except, well, they chose a female outlook on it, and she's not nearly as annoying as the one on this side is. She seems to, I don't know, I'd almost say actually care for her part of the universe. Though, even if you're good at it, don't accept a challenge to play chess with her. It just gets very long, and, well, some of your crew ends up being some of your pieces.
Oh, and never draw from her deck. If she ever offers you a deck, ignore it.
Yes.
Well, considering that the being that we're talking about is omnipotent, omnipresent, pretty much it's always going to be a bad hand if you start playing around with a Q.
Yes. But, again, she's not really as bad as some of the other Qs. At least she doesn't seem to be. Other than that, those were the last two little things, well, not so little things, that I needed to bring up. If I can give you any kind of other information, it would be to use the speed of your ship. For me, I had a little ace in the hole, as it were. Your speed, and from what I hear, your ability to go at incredible speeds is going to be your ace in the hole.
That's what I fully intend on. And hopefully I can keep it working. You know, this brand new out-of-the-box tech.
Oh, I know. We tested something of the sort on the Ophion, and, well, hitting the brakes a little early is not a good idea.
And
Yes, sir.
actually, it is about that time that Captain Beckett, your communicator, chirps.
Well, he'll hit his communicator. Beckett here.
This is Commander Cam, sir. Thought you would want to know that the project you wanted to be updated on is ready for your inspection.
Beckett kind of turns and looks at Sparja. Sparja is giving him a look like, how could you have forgotten already? Oh, thank you, XO. Lieutenant Sparja and I will be on our way as soon as we can.
Understood.
Beckett
Cam
out.
out.
Well, Captain, I have dumped you with a whole bunch of information, but on that report is the more official report. There's also a data dump in there for your computers as far as mapping and things of that nature. And as I said, don't hesitate to call. And hopefully I'll be back on that side of the gate sooner rather than later.
Good to meet you, Captain Beckett.
And you too. And Beckett will stand and offer his hand to all three of them.
I'll shake last, but I'll have a parting word, Captain.
Captain?
What's the apple pie like on the Ophion?
Well, surprisingly, it's quite good. My CMO, though a Denobulan, makes a really good apple pie.
Yeah, but that's cheating. I mean, how is it out of the replicator? I mean, is it any good?
Oh God. Yeah, replicators. Try not to let those go down.
Yeah. I'm
Having,
guessing it's probably going to taste the same as it does on mine.
yeah, probably.
That's disappointing. Oh, well.
And don't trust anybody if they tell you they have rations that have apple pie or anything of that nature. It always just comes out tasting like a protein bar.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's why I try to stay with the replicator stuff. If they can just improve that, I'll be a happy man.
Well, also on that pad, there's a couple of recipes with some produce you can get from the Fryla that are quite good.
Interesting. Alrighty then, Captain. If nothing else.
I've got
Godspeed to
nothing
you.
else, and apparently my XO is yelling at me to get back to my ship. So
Take care, Captain Beckett.
and you as well.
All right. And so Beckett and Svarja do depart at that point, and I did want to thank you, Beckett, before you ran. Thank you for doing the info dump for me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I volunteered for it, so.
I will see you on Saturday then, Beckett. But you have a good evening.
And you guys too, have fun. Don't ruin anything, and yeah, have fun.
All right, later, Beckett.
Take care.
All right,
Go back to your own show.
All right, so yeah,
Away with you.
You guys are sort of just still staying in the bar in the aftermath of that, and what are you guys doing from here?
That's all. I'll pass the pad to the science officer, so he can start perusing some of the information in there.
Apologies about hailing the EMH, but I thought the conversation immediately turned towards a subject that he would be interested in.
Well, I figured that information will be included in the pad, but the main reason I brought you here is because, one, you're somewhat wise enough to be able to pick up on what he would know, but two, discretion is a better part of valor. There's a reason why I only bought you 3.
Understood.
All right. Well, if that's enough, then why don't we get back to our own boat and make sure our stuff is ready to go?
I don't understand how you can make a move like that, Lieutenant, and you didn't even take a sip.
No response.
I'll hit the pipper and talk to Sava and ask her to make a notification to the section heads for a meeting sometime after we get back to the ship.
Understood, sir. I will have them there.
Alrighty. William's out.
All right.
So unless you guys had anything else on here, I'm pretty much going back to my boat.
Well, that is, I suppose, the question to everyone. Did anyone have any bits of RP they wanted to accomplish on DSD or anything in relation to the Lysithia that I might be able to handle?
I would like to make sure to chirp the captain we met with one more time just to make sure we get a crate of his Andromeda ale before we head off.
I will say you actually reach his yeoman, and Yeoman Peters does actually confirm that 3 cases have already been transferred.
Wonderful. If the drink saved him before, I hope they'll do the same for us.
Oh, the other thing, now that a jet is not buzzing my house, as maybe the 3 of you start to leave the bar, the Tellarite owner, Zaix, does sort of sidle on over to you guys and says, "Hey, you, Captain, did I hear something about you wanting blood wine?"
Perhaps. Not sure how we'll go over where we're going, but what do you got?
I got 2362. It ain't as good as 2309, but it'll sate what you get out of blood wine, I suppose.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have a couple bottles.
Oh no, I'm talking a barrel of the stuff.
How many barrels are you trying to get rid of?
Well, to be honest, I've got about 5. Nobody around here drinks it, and nobody else wants to buy it, so...
All right, fine. We could always... We'll get rid of it one way or the other.
Sign here. And he just sort of holds out a pad.
I'm going to read through everything he's got on there just to make sure I'm not signing anything nefarious.
All right. Good news. It's not as bad as a Quirk-style arrangement, but it does pretty much say that no refunds.
How much is he charging us?
We'll say that it is part of your discretionary fund. You still have plenty left over, but it is a expense that you might need to justify at some point.
See, I'm gonna alter it so it's 1 barrel, and alter the price that he's putting and provide it for his approval. This price, no more.
Kind of looks at it, scratches his beard. All right, fine. It's one barrel down. It's better than nothing.
Nice doing business with you.
Yep, you too, Captain. And have fun wherever it is the hell you're going.
If this ends up being foul, I'm coming all the way back from where I'm going just to mess with you.
Don't worry. I can take it. And he just sort of ends the conversation there and goes back to behind the bar.
Hope I don't end up having to space this stuff because it's foul or something.
Only one way to find out. Alright. Okay. So, while everyone is sort of getting back to the ship, Merrick, your answer to that question is that the Ophion is actually at DS9 for whatever reason. There's not really a record of the orders that got it to DS9, but it is currently at DS9. But yeah, with that in mind, I did want to sort of give you guys a little bit of free time before we went to our break. Is there any last minute bits of RP or any sort of scenes people want to handle before the Adiona sort of makes a beeline for Pandora's Gate?
I'd like to have a small moment with the captain.
Sure, where would you like it to happen?
Why don't we have it back in the mess hall on board the ship?
Sure. There you are.
So, Captain, what did you think about everything that everything?
Yeah.
Morgan
Well, I'm
kinda
glad I
says
brought
that.
my science officer, that's for sure.
Honestly, with that huge info dump, permission to speak freely?
No, by all means, especially between you and me.
I'm concerned. Not scared, not frightened, but concerned. I understand that our Starfleet's primary mission is to go boldly, but to be quite honest, Andromeda seems like a hassle. I'm not getting second thoughts, and I'm quite excited for this mission. And it's not the challenges that spook me, it's just if we go through even half of what, man, if we have to go through even half of Captain Beckett's great trek, it's going to be hard for this crew.
And that ship's a lot more heavily armed, but we are faster, well, in short bursts anyway.
I'm going to do my best to read up on all the previous communiques and the reports and the official logs. And I'll meet with every department head individually after our next staff meeting to make sure that we're prepared for the trip.
Yeah. If anything else, I think the main thing you may have to focus on is redundancy, just in case. I mean, we are an experimental drive, so if we're capable of replicating spare parts, that way we don't have to wait as long, that might be a good idea. But
I'll check in with our chief engineer later. Make sure that we are up to stuff before we head on out. Before we depart the Alpha Quadrant.
Yeah, of course. But I do want to make sure all the department heads get their stuff. If they have any questions or anything else, feel free to answer them with the information that we got. I just wanted to make sure we localized receipt of this information before we distributed it.
Of course. And one more thing, Captain.
Sure.
Between you and me, no matter how long it takes, I'm going to try to get Merrick drunk. I think he needs to experience it just once for the first time, and then maybe his etiquette will improve.
I really don't think loosening up a Vulcan is going to be a good idea.
I've had worse ones.
Look, you got your third pip for a reason. So, I mean, just don't make him lose his career or anything, okay? And don't order him to drink anything.
Oh, of course not. Never. Never.
For where we're going, we're going to need our science officers sharp, so.
I'll make sure that we remain upstanding officers to the best of our ability and representation of the Federation to the highest degree.
Alrighty.
Except in off hours.
But just keep in mind, you're his superior, all right? Don't make me have to write you up for nefarious stuff.
I promise.
Alrighty. Let me go get some more pie.
Oh, I might actually have to come up with a good name for this mess hall that involves pie in some way.
Dude, it's home. That's all it is. Mom makes good pie, and I can't get good pie unless Mom's making it. But I'm waiting for a better replicator recipe. Just one of these days, it's going to be better, and that will be the ship I want to serve on next.
Oh, well, it's little things like that turn out to be big things. I mean, we got the duck because of a literal duck just being on the screen. So, who knows? This could become something more. Okay, so that's between Williams and Morgan. I did want to check in with everybody else before we did go to break. Merrick, did you have anything?
I'm gonna wait until the captain has a meeting.
Okay. Havoc, how about you? Uh-oh. Is our chief engineer absent? Oh, there
I
he
just
is.
heard my name. I did not catch what was before for some reason.
Yeah, he
Just
slated us offline for some reason. What the hell?
Yeah. Just wondering if there was anything you wanted to accomplish before the staff meeting.
Currently, nothing, and I just found out that for some reason my computer decided to disconnect me from everything for a few seconds and reconnect me.
As long as you're here, that's what matters. All right. I believe the only person left. Oh no, there's two. Sorry. I know, Galen, you've been kind of quiet here, except for that one little bit. So, was anything you wanted to get done? So that I feel kind of bad, but
Nothing I can really think of, like, as a doctor.
Okay.
If anything else, he just received the medical data in case he had a question about any of that stuff. But if not, then whatever.
No, I think it's probably fair to say that he has gotten the data and is more than likely combing through it. All right, and I believe that just leaves our helm officer, though I don't know if his mic is working. So, Mayweather, are you there?
I believe I'm here.
Hi, hey, you're there. Excellent. Is there anything you'd like to get done before the sort of staff meeting?
Just do a diagnostic and, about modern updates to computers and software.
Okay, fair enough. All right. In that case, gentlemen, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our break a couple minutes early. So we're going to take 5 to 10 minutes. If you all could be back by no later than 9:25 p.m. Eastern Daily. So BRB.
10 minutes, 10 minutes. Am I still connected? Somehow my Mad Cat just opened up TeamSpeak for some reason.
Yeah, you're still connected. Captain, you still there?
Yep, still here.
I was thinking about asking ELH if I could try to figure out rooms where there weren't any cameras to just get my search down, but I didn't want to put that much stress on you trying to keep the secret.
What secret?
Not letting anyone aside from you and your second about knowing about the good old VIP.
Oh, hmm. Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, I guess. Well, her stuff is all close quarters. I guess sooner or later I got to have a conversation with the VIP. But I figured once we get on their way and the ship is mobile, then we're not going to get any increase in personnel or anything, and then the crew might be a little bit more susceptible to finding her eventually. We may have to brief them. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, my Havoc does not like to be made to wait.
Well, Havoc's going to have to wait until I deem it otherwise.
On paper, yes.
I only caught the tail end of that, and I'm smirking.
Yeah, it's like I almost had to dress her down the first time she spoke with me. It's like, God damn it. I ain't trying to do that on my first day.
Oh.
It's not like I'm actually back in the service or nothing. It's like, God damn, I ain't supposed to be
Well,
popping this quick.
Just gonna say, she is going to try and keep it behind your back.
I mean,
Look, people talk behind people's back, but straight up to my face and not salute me first, and I'm the commander of the vessels. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Personally, I think it's actually an interesting character choice. Not that being a obedient rank and file isn't a bad thing, but it does promote character growth. I think if you start off a little bit flawed.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, I kind of have a stickler's mindset for that kind of stuff just from being in the service. So
Yeah,
like
that's,
you do not
That's
speak to
actually
your
perfect.
that's
yeah,
why.
it's like you do
Considering-
not speak to your CO on the deck of the ship like that in public and not expect to get dressed down loudly, like I'm a
Oh,
drill
she
instructor kind
expected
of
it.
stuff.
She was more surprised that you didn't do it.
Yeah.
We can't have only Merrick getting into trouble, okay?
Well, then again, she's also senior staff, so you got to take that in consideration for your response. If she was just like a lieutenant, no, that would have happened right then and there.
Right.
Also, she does not have. She definitely does not have any patience at this point, considering what she's gone through.
Well, actually, you know what? I'll type out my message to the captain. I'll do it on Discord.
All right.
And there you go. And while you're formulating your answer, I do have to do a quick little Twitch housekeeping. So I've noticed we've gotten quite a few follows today. Appreciate the follows, guys. It's always great to have other people interested in the stream. Glad you could be here, and hopefully you're having a good time. Also, where did the commander go? Did he drop off to restart or something?
Not sure. Did he?
I think he just dropped for the break.
Yeah, he dropped for the break.
Oh yeah, I have a small question. How much of Havoc's dossier does the captain have? I probably pronounced that word wrong.
Well, I'd have anything that's not classified by higher authority.
All right, so basically most if not all of it.
Right,
If an admiral locked it down, I won't have access to it unless they release it.
Yeah, and it's worth saying that as of this moment, the only character sheets that people can see are their own. And I can do this on a person-by-person basis, but is there anyone who wants their bio visible?
Well, my basic like my character's history in Starfleet would be there. I still got to write up the greater points, but at least that last mission I mentioned would be available.
Okay.
So the crew knows I just came back from a bloody mission and managed to get an award for what happened there, even though I don't think it's award worthy, but I saved an admiral type thing, you know.
No, I gotcha. Well, I mostly mean in Roll20, whatever you guys currently have in your bio, I can make that visible to other people. So, again, if you want that to happen, I can make it happen. But if you have, like, secrets or certain bits of backstory you don't want other people to know yet, you know, there's no shame and no problem with you keeping your bio secret.
It's fine by me.
Okay. Well, in that case, Merrick, I'm going to go ahead and let other people see your sheet. So hopefully now everyone can see Merrick's bio at least.
Yeah, I haven't currently written anything into the bio, though. It's more just me making sure that my story checks out with everything.
I gotcha. And to answer your question, Galen, yeah, that is sort of the growing pains of going from first officer to chief medical officer. Is you know, obviously the XO and the captain and the rest of the bridge staff get a lot of screen time, but you as the CMO are just sort of like, I'm here, hi.
That kind of feels like I'm doing with engineer. Just like, I'm in the background.
Well, it also
Well,
kind of depends on the situation. Like, obviously, for an info dump like that, you know, there's only so many people that can be present. So,
This is true.
Mary, have you heard of the Murthrin maneuver?
Dot,
I'll be right
dot,
back.
dot.
oh God.
I cannot say I perfectly have, but for some reason it's reminding me of something I'd rather not talk about.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we got 2 minutes to kill before we will come back from break.
I thought of something to do.
Excellent. I think what we'll do is we'll start up after break with the meeting, and then I'll leave some bits of time for you to do stuff like that, Galen.
Okay.
Also, as I usually seem to do during these streams, I do apologize for any jet noise that leaks through. For some reason, they decided to do night ops tonight, so that means they're likely going to be going till about 11. All right, time is up. So, quick roll call. Who is here?
Present.
I am.
Present.
Okay. Captain Mayweather. I saw Mayweather's icon light up, but I did not hear anything.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, you tell you what. I'll put the BRP back on screen. We'll just we'll wait until the captain gets back. And there's our commander. Suppose I'll preemptively put us on this map.
Maybe he's making a long subspace call.
Stuff happens.
Did the wife call again?
No idea. Well, you know what? I tell you what. I guess while we're waiting for the captain anyway, Galen, let's do your scene. So I'm assuming sick bay.
That's just a quick little thing, actually. He's saying out a little blurb to all the crew personnel aboard the ship to remind them that it is their duty to report any stress, fatigue, emotional outbursts, any personal issues, if they believe that it is putting the individual in harm's in a harm's way. Being overworked, exhausted is dangerous after all. So he just wants everyone aboard the ship to know that.
Okay, so standard ship's counselor type things.
Yeah, and the last little thing is he is inviting those who the rest of the crew to come and do their physical. He is sending reminders to a couple of the senior staff as they haven't showed up for theirs yet. One of them is going to be the captain, the commander, and the science officer.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for the captain, would
The
Commander...
captain's back. He'll go first.
Oh, okay. Well, if the captain's here, he can certainly go get his physical done. All right. So there you go, Captain. You walk into sickbay.
I wave you on over to my office.
Alrighty. So what do we have to go through here, Lieutenant Galen? What's out of order?
Well, I just want to establish a baseline with you before we venture off into another galaxy. If anything were to change, I want to be able to examine and compare.
Yeah, I understand. Where do you need me?
I'll take on the biobed.
Alrighty. You can
So
ignore
tell me-
that apple pie that you may see in there.
So, tell me, Captain, are you fine with a hologram being your medical officer? I'm asking this as I'm scanning him.
My main concern is, do you know how to do your job at the level of station you have been assigned? As long as the answer is yes, you'll have no problems from me.
That's good to hear. And yes, I know how to operate a tricorder and a scalpel, be it laser or, how would McCoy say it, barbaric style.
Well, learn to use what you have got, and you won't need what you have not.
I have prepared those bug-out kits as well.
That's good. I always like having one of those at my side, just in case.
Understandable. Do you have any questions for me, Captain?
Since we're jumping into somewhat of the great unknown, I figure we have backup copies, but is there anything special we may need to do to maintain your AI, so to speak?
No, as far as I'm aware, the copies are more or less just knowledge. The essence of me, once gone, is gone.
Well, that's what I'm referring to. Is there any way to back up you versus just your medical know-how?
That's like asking a transport chief how to back up a soul.
Fair enough.
I've been looked into. It's something I could bring up with some of the computer specialists. But as long as I'm smart, and I like to think I am, I should be around for a long time. As he's saying that, Captain, you see him shimmer for a split second, and a duplicate of him walks out, goes to his office.
Are you going to be doing that a lot?
I have designed a couple of extra subroutines to help me in the sickbay, especially if I'm by myself.
Is there any one of you that's prime?
I am the prime. The other one has a single purpose, typically to either gather information or carry out a task, and then we remerge, and I gain the knowledge. It's only beneficial within sickbay, though. Outside of here or on a mission, I cannot do this.
Well, I'm going to give you another directive. Put a 1 on his shoulder so I can tell who's who, would you?
He will gladly tell you if he's the prime or not. Was
I
fun,
prefer
though.
the visual backup, really. Want to be able to know who I'm looking at a glance.
I'll see if I can modify that. It was quite joyful to hold pranks on everyone at the Daystrom Institute when I was being developed.
True, but now we're getting kind of operational. So if you wouldn't mind, anytime you make a duplicate, just annotate which version of the duplicate is currently running around on the shoulder in place of where you might put your band. That will be sufficient. That's all I'm asking.
I'll see if I can make the modifications.
Good, I would appreciate that. The last thing I need to do is see 3 or 4 of you at one time, and I don't know who's who.
Oh, I can only do this twice.
Well, we don't know what the future will hold. Hopefully that will take care of any further issues in case we get an upgrade.
So tell me, Captain, are you a man that partakes in beverages?
Just socially. I don't really seek it.
Good to know. As you probably know, I have acquired a rather large selection. In place and in lieu of my personal belongings, I have brought aboard a wide variety of alcoholic beverages, not synthahol.
Are you sure you're a doctor?
I'm also a therapist, to a certain degree. Due to the nature of this mission, I felt that the bartending therapist is a good approach. Dr. McCoy, aboard the Enterprise, had great success with that.
So that's probably why we don't have a ship's counselor on board then.
Yes, I'm filling that role. I would also like to inform you that I plan on having different events set up with the crew, such as theater and play, holodeck time with members of the crew on their downtime if they wish to partake, cooperative adventures, building trust, and understanding of individuals as a crew to help form a tighter bond, especially if something were to go sideways and we're stuck in another galaxy.
I have no problem with that. Just inform the XO in case you want to make any changes or anything, just to make sure that we have it appropriately scheduled for you.
Very well. And last question. Do you sing?
Only under threat of death.
Can you act?
Not since I was a kid.
Oh, would you be interested in some classes?
Well, let me get my feet under exactly what our mission is, and maybe I'll update that file later.
I'll put you as a maybe. Do I roll anything for Scanum?
Yeah, I guess we should do some sort of roll at some point tonight. So sure, reason, medicine, difficulty 0. So free momentum, really.
So I'm doing biology and anatomy. So, yay, hologram.
So there's just 4 momentum for you because, you know. But yeah, Captain Williams checks out. There's nothing out of the ordinary unless he wishes there to be something.
Nah, not just evidence of old healing being done.
Well, if you ever feel like you're being sore from the old injuries, let me know. I can schedule an appointment. We can see if you can address them. Possible replacements or dermal therapy.
Good to know. Anything else you need from me, Doc?
That's everything, Captain.
Alrighty. Well, good job. Keep up the good work. Let me know if you need anything for your department.
Will do. And as he says that, his copy remerges into him.
All right.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a neat little trick. Okay. So right before we do sort of the big old meeting with the whole staff, well, the senior staff anyway, any other scenes people want to get out of the way?
Just to add, wanted to put a movement in there, like right before we head out, I'm going to have a mass toast with the crew. But, you know, just through the comms. So I'll have everybody distribute out this mandatory drink from the cask that I collected from the other captain. To have a, like a farewell drink before we head off.
Okay, noted. All right. Well, in that case, I will put you guys in the conference room, and to sort of give you a narrative. At this point, you all have gotten everything you needed from DSD, any last minute supplies, any very last minute crew changes, things of that nature. You also happen to drop off your admiral that you have brought with you this entire time. She departs and is no longer on your vessel. And at the moment, you guys are currently headed towards Pandora's Gate, again at a leisurely warp 8. You, of course, could choose to go faster, but this does give you a couple weeks. Or let me actually look. This gives you about 5 days before you would reach Pandora's Gate from DSD. So, because
I would say, unless we have specific orders to bug out there incredibly quick, we'll go at standard cruising speed.
Okay, warp 8 it is. In that case, the captain has requested a senior staff meeting, so a senior staff meeting we shall have. And everyone currently pictured is present. Captain, regarding my private message, would you like them to be present?
Give me 1 second here.
Lieutenant American Commander Morgan.
Basically, we'll have this as being an introduction to the senior staff. Codename Andy on the comms.
Okay. Would you like them to be in the room as the meeting starts, or would you like to have them walk in?
I'll summon them.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, all of you just sort of sit down at the conference table. Outside, you see the stars flying by, and I'll let you guys run your own meeting.
Alrighty, so I guess I'll be the last one to come in. I think at ease, everyone. I trust everybody's had a chance to at least glance through the information we collected on the station.
Indeed. It's quite fascinating, Captain.
You call it fascinating, I call it confusing.
Well, I am a computer after all.
Well, they don't pay us just to sit back and look at the same stars over and over. So we'll be heading into the great beyond, probably further than any of the ships that have already recorded the information in our data packets. So the main thing is, for my science team, I want to make sure if we can develop anything to help with soaking up some of this radiation, that'll be a secondary concern that I'd like you guys to work on whenever you have time.
Understood.
I will also prepare inoculations in case we are exposed to radiation. And radiation protocol will be reinforced with the rest of the crew.
Alright, also, Havoc, if they do need additional power for that, I'd like you to have a plan for any additional power we can put towards either life support or shields to help with that effort.
I could set up some redirect protocols, but I had to find systems that we don't need to use at those times.
Yeah, I have full confidence you'll be able to at least give them something.
Might I also suggest we look at a method to extending communications?
Yeah, but the primary one is the life support. If the communications we have there will be working for a time, but that's more of a long-term project. So life support first, communication second. Mayweather, have you looked at any of the navigational data they've given you?
Not yet. I have it on a pad.
I'd say familiar yourself with anything that may give us some navigational problems, just so know that they won't be completely out of the blue once we encounter them. Granted, it only covers a small area, but it helps to know the home base.
Sir, I will see that stellar cartography takes the new information into account and updates our current charts.
Alrighty. Alright, and I guess we have sort of a rumor going around the ship that there might be somebody on the ship. So, time to give you an introduction. And I'll hit my comm badge. It's like, could Andy please come into the briefing room, please?
All right. And since there is only one door into this place, door opens and in steps Andromeda, your big old VIP. So, just as a reminder from last week, she's a fairly tall individual. She's wearing what appears to be a biosuit of some sort, somewhat reptilian in design, with red frills throughout. And, they sort of just step in, sit there at the top of the step, and say, reporting is ordered, Captain.
Welcome. Take a seat at the far end of the table if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. She walks on over and takes a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why this boat is going where we are.
I don't say it out loud, but Mayweather's the only one close enough to hear me mumble, "Wow, did not expect her to look like that."
This is Andromeda. I gave her a code name of Andy for short for on the comms, just in case some of the crew members weren't too savvy and wanted to put two and two together. But mainly, we're giving her a ride home.
Our destination, sir?
Well, that's the hard part. Andy will be giving us a hand with that. She kind of helped us out on another ship, and we're returning the favor. But it's not exactly a pinpoint location. So we're going to...
May I mumble something?
Sure.
I mumble again, this better not be the middle of the goddamn galaxy.
Well, Andromeda actually kind of looks directly at you, Havoc, and says, unfortunately, yes, it is.
I just stop, turn towards her slowly, and begin rubbing my temples. It's like, oh god. Alright. Mind if I help on making sure that radiation doesn't kill us?
Well, that was what I asked for.
I'm gonna be putting a little bit more effort into it considering we're going there.
Yep. On top of that, she's also been designated as an assistant to the medical staff. So, Doc, she'll be working as a side to you.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, Lieutenant Galen, I believe.
Indeed.
Excellent. I've served with quite a few Starfleet doctors over the past 10 years, and can't say I've ever served with a hologram.
Well, I hope it's an enjoyable experience.
Indeed.
Question, outside character.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been shared with the senior staff that was reported by Commander Beckett.
That is affirmative. Anything that was on that data pad is accessible to the senior staff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, Captain Beckett.
That's okay.
Okay. So I would bring up the question, Andromeda, are you a Kelvin?
I am definitely not a Kelvin. I can confirm that much.
Is there a barrier of some sort in the middle of the Andromeda Galaxy?
Andromeda kind of does a very thoughtful pose where she kind of puts a hand to her chin, or what functions as a chin for her anyway, and says, honestly, from what I remember, there wasn't anything like the galactic barrier that is currently in place in the Milky Way. Also, on that note, I don't think there was one surrounding it from the edges of the galaxy. I think the Milky Way is actually unique in that regard.
That reminds me. Doc, take note of any crew members that may be partially telepathic, just in case when we do jump out, if there's any great increase in their abilities. I want to make sure we got that locked down as quickly as possible so we don't have any sort of an issue that's happened on other ships in the past.
And I will speak up here as Lieutenant Zava, but I go wait for this jet, so give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, it was mainly for the medical staff as well, since they kind of monitor that as well.
Okay, I think the jet's gone. So at this point, Lieutenant Zava does speak up and say, Captain, I've obviously been going over the data that Captain Beckett shared with us, and I'm slightly concerned about these. She actually looks at a data pad. The Toth. He indicated that they appear to be able to keep up with standard conventional warp speed, and that they were comparable to the Luna class. I don't think I need to say it, sir. What is our protocol going to be if we encounter them? Are we simply just going to bug out, or?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking we're going to be pretty much ready to run at any moment, considering the size of our ship and our power output. But my main concern is how quickly we'll be able to engage QSD after jumping. We do have a cooldown period. If we, is there a shorter cooldown period if we don't jump maximum range?
Is that an in-character or out-of-character question?
Both.
Okay, then we'll answer it pseudo, and we'll say this information comes from both Merrick and Havoc working together. So the basic gist of this is that, say you only go, we'll say 5 minutes instead of your maximum of 15. You conceivably could then, wait a little bit, then go another 10 or another 5. But there's sort of a daily cap of 15 minutes total. I might change that in the future, but I think a daily cap is going to be fine for the time being. And we're going by shipboard time, not by like in real life time. So it's somewhat per session, but there are going to be times where you guys are taking extended periods of time on a specific location or adventure.
Yeah, and assume anything over 8 is going to be for a limited time before we have to reduce speed, correct?
Correct. Well, actually, when it comes to normal warp speed, the Adiona is capable of warp 9.975, and you can hold that for actually close to a day. Because you have to remember, not only is QSD new on this ship, the latest and greatest warp engine is available. So you can conceivably hold speeds above warp 9 for several days if need be.
Okay. So we're not as bad off as I was thinking we were.
No. You, as Beckett said, your speed is going to be your trump card.
So out of character, basically, you're just telling us that is it wear and tear, basically, or like we have to do maintenance, or is it more or less that things become out of alignment and we got to put them back in alignment as far as calculations and things like this?
Actually, both. The way I was styling it in my head. Obviously, the sort of clue I dropped in the first session of it being like 0.001 out of alignment. The QSD is very precise, and it does need to be calibrated constantly. That's kind of why the Adiona has such advanced computers and sensors, because you need it for QSD. Otherwise, you have what happened to Voyager in that one episode where, they hit a little eddy or a little bump and suddenly they're crashing into a planet.
So even when we're using it, we have to stay on top of it.
Pretty much, yeah. But once that fact has actually been communicated, Zava does continue to speak and say, a sort of a question, not just for you, Captain, but for really anyone on the senior staff. We are carrying a complement of a Type 9 shuttle and a state-of-the-art Valkyrie fighter craft. What should be the standard operating procedure for the Valkyries? Should we launch it when we enter combat, or should we sort of reserve it for an ace in the hole?
Well, considering we're not going to get a replacement, we need to be sparing with it. What do you think, XO?
I tend to agree. However, I'd like to gather up a list of current pilots on board the ship and, at a moment's notice, to be able to conduct interviews with them to see who would be able to pilot them when necessary.
Myself, this is Zava. Myself, I am probably the most trained on the vessel. After me is probably our lovely helm officer, Lieutenant Mayweather. But I will certainly compile a report of other individuals on the ship, hopefully one per shift, that could fulfill this role if need be.
I understand that both you and our helmsman are perfectly capable. And depending on the nature of our mission, we'll see how this goes. But I'd like to get a much larger list of people that you necessarily think have the capabilities to pilot this fighter in a crunch.
I will endeavor to get you that list as soon as possible.
I would also suggest, if hope for the best, prepare for the worst, that we get, even if it's just the academy course, for case we have to abandon ship, so we know which pilots are going.
Oh, you cut out there at the end.
I said I was suggesting when we get some, find out who we're, even if it's just straight out of the academy, backups in case the worst comes and we have to abandon ship. We know, if there's a med tech that, in case we're all wiped out and they can get to the escape pods, and we have a list that they know which escape pod they're going to and who's designated like third backup escape pods.
Okay. And Zava will say, yeah, we can certainly do that. I will be working with Commander Morgan on that, I suppose.
Well, if we're all being morbid about saying who's going to be on an escape pods if the ship's going down, I'll remain with the ship. Kind of tied to it.
That raises a good point, Doctor. How long can your mobile emitter last in the field?
GM, how long does my mobile emitter last in the field?
Honestly, because it is sort of styled after the Doctor's, it's just a little bit more bulky. As far as I'm aware, we never see an operational limit for the Doctor on Voyager. So I'm just going to say that as long as you aren't injured, even as a hologram, we're still going to use stress for you. As long as you're not injured, the emitter will work perfectly. But the moment you take an injury, that injury is going to be immediately to your emitter.
Okay.
It was pretty continuous use in that one episode with Seven and the Doctor. Remember when they were captive?
Yeah. The other one that came to mind was the one where they're in the nebula, where the rest of the crew is asleep.
Actually, the one that I was thinking of was Blink of an Eye, which was that time travel episode where that planet was out of phase with the rest of the galaxy, and we sent the Doctor there, and he spent decades on that planet before we returned him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that thing has, at least on screen presence, it has obviously a lifespan of decades.
Exactly.
29th century tech, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so if that's effectively canon for us, then I don't think we have to worry about the battery unless it takes damage.
Exactly.
It should stay operational as long as the emitter's fine, but during an emergency situation, things happen.
Commander Morgan just nods.
All right, any other questions?
There is one more thing that I'd like to make clear.
The floor is yours.
Additionally, and I look to Lieutenant Zava, the information that Captain Beckett gave us about the tactical necessities of Andromeda is something that I'd like to go over with you in private.
Certainly.
I feel like a lot of the things that he encountered over there and a lot of the strategies could be optimized, and certainly things that I feel like may become much more surprising in the future that we may have to deal with sooner rather than later.
It's understandable, Commander. Actually, on that note, and again, she kind of looks at the pad, will we be stopping by to see the Fryla on our way out?
I believe that's up to the captain.
No, what's our timetable?
Based on the orders that I know of, sir, there isn't so much a timetable as, it's however fast we deem it necessary to get Andromeda here home.
Andromeda, you have anything we need to be urgent about?
And she just sort of shrugs and says, I've been away for 2 millennia. I don't think there's anyone quite exactly, I believe the expression is holding a candle for me at home, waiting for me to return.
Well, there you have it. We'll just add that as to our clear list before we depart.
I do have one final question.
Mm-hmm.
I look towards Andromeda. Andromeda, are you aware of a species, the Frequa?
Well, I know of them since I did work for the Daystrom Institute, and Svarge's existence was heavily studied. But no, it does not ring any bells.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, Captain. Commander Morgan, Lieutenant Merrick, when you're off duty, I'm giving you an order to come down for your physical.
Oh, I'll
Andromeda?
second that order. Make it happen, folks.
Andromeda,
Yes.
when you feel convenient, please come to sickbay as well. I would like to do a baseline comparison with you as well, and also get you situated with the sickbay.
Oh, don't worry. I've been there already when you were offline. In fact, if you will consult data block 9J75, you will find the exact information you're looking for.
Interesting. And these results are recent?
I took them myself, yes.
Very well. I'll accept these. Welcome to sickbay.
I am slightly slack-jawed as Andromeda states that she managed to get all the way to sickbay without anyone noticing her.
Yeah, apparently she's very stealthy when she needs to be.
And one last thing, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have issues with holograms. Some people had issues with androids as well. I do want to express and reaffirm that I am here to help all of you. Not just physically, but also mentally as well. I am here to make sure you are all okay. I will do my very best. If that means that I must decompile myself to save one of you, I will do so. And in return, please do not alter my program, access it without my permission, or attempt anything. I am sentient, and I am aware. I would ask for the respect that you would give to any other sentient species. Thank you.
Actually, with you mentioning that, Havoc, I'd like you to put a security protocol over the top of the doctor's AI, and I'll lock it down with my personal code as soon as it's ready.
I blink a few times as I slowly come back to reality after being surprised that Andromeda seems to be part ninja. And I hear his request and I just nod at him.
And then I'll make a gesture to Andromeda. Andromeda, is there anything you'd like to state to the crew, or special permissions you want to add or remove from the rest of the crew knowing about your awareness, status, what have you?
Well, I will simply reiterate the thanks that I gave to you during our first meeting, Captain. And she sort of looks around at all of you and says, I extremely appreciate that Starfleet is bluntly going out of its way to see that I am taken home. I honestly don't know what is waiting for us. I honestly don't know if there's a home for me to return to, but the mere fact that this mission is taking place is both monumental and means so much to me that I don't think there's proper words in your language for it. So you have my utmost thanks. And she I wouldn't say gives a very Japanese bow, but it is definitely a bow of some sort where her upper half does incline as much as, her seated position will allow. And when she comes back up, she continues to say, in regards to the knowledge of my existence, I served aboard the Arcadia, no problem with the crew being aware of my existence. So at this point, Captain, I don't see any reason to quote-unquote hide me. That said, I do want to say mostly to you, Commander, and she looks at Morgan, to not hesitate to bring me along on an away mission should you think my skill sets or knowledge is necessary.
Duly noted. Morgan's still kind of hesitant, So that's all he'll say.
All right. So
I
Andromeda.
acknowledge your presence. I know you exist.
uh, well, that's all I had, Captain.
Oh, and would you prefer? Do you wish us to use your full title, or would the code name of Andy work for you as far as for the rest of the crew?
Whatever's convenient for the individual, really. I'll respond to either.
All right, then I'll make a general statement once we head underway, so I know we're not gaining any additional personnel, and introduce you to the crew through a shipwide.
Understood.
Alrighty then, and if nothing else, I will call this meeting adjourned.
All right.
I want to do something while we're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually tap the captain's shoulder and say to him, I want to talk to you in private.
Alrighty, meet me in my ready move in a few minutes then.
Got it.
And I'll set that up for you. Havoc, there's Havoc. There you go. Alright, so we cut to the captain's ready room.
All right, and
So-
I assume he follows me right in, so it's like, alrighty, Commander, well, what can I do for you?
I sit in the chair and immediately slump a little bit with a sigh and look at it and say, why wasn't the senior staff briefed even a little on this before we left? Aside from we're going to Andromeda.
Do you have an issue with going to the Andromeda Galaxy there, Lieutenant Commander?
Not going to the Andromeda Galaxy, it's just more... I didn't expect us to have to literally go to the center of it.
Is there something you're not telling me, Commander?
No, there's nothing I'm not telling you. It's more just the gravity of the situation.
Okay,
Also-
so... Oh, yeah, continue.
Also, I am somewhat worried. Not just for me, but for the crew about my implants. I was told that most of it could be replaced, such as the arms and legs. I point to them and then point to my eye. Also this, but I did on my dossier. Did they also mention that my pulmonary systems and my respiratory systems are also replaced?
I believe I did see that, yes.
Me and the hologram. It turns out we won't be able to fully replace those things if they go down. So I may end up a permanent cripple on the ship if something goes terribly wrong.
Out of character, is the Sally ride in this canon or no?
Honestly, I don't know because I haven't watched too much of the recent episodes. I do know that obviously this week is their final episode, and I'll tune in just to see how it ends. But
More for the fact that there is a XO that is currently, it would be in northern military considered unfit for command, but yet she's in charge of a ship.
you mean Rue?
Correct.
I would say that is maybe somewhat known. I guess it would just really depend on your character how much they would look into the Sally ride.
Well, I figured it would be somewhat noteworthy if somebody who would normally not be able to walk is fit for duty and serving as the XO on a ship.
No, I got what you're going with that. I will say simply because the Arcadia canon does not match up with Sally Ride canon. The Sally Ride exists somewhere in the galaxy, but the only thing that's really staying constant is their crew. Their actual mission and their actual, I guess, whatever the hell they're doing at the current moment is actually unknown to me. But it's kind of like in Star Trek Online, where it's going to exist somewhere in the universe.
No, that's fine. I was just actually somewhat generally. So,
Oh, okay.
All right, then I'll come from around my desk and walk up next to the Lieutenant Commander and ask, Lieutenant Commander, post.
I immediately stand up and state Chief Engineer on... Crap, my brain.
Adiona.
Basically, I'm calling her to attention in outer space.
Yeah.
I immediately stand up, stand at attention, yeah, and state my post very clearly.
Do you wish to serve in Starfleet?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to be chief engineer on my boat?
Yes, sir.
Then I don't see why there's any issue to where you would be worried about something else like this. If my lungs die and I fall on a planet, I'm dead, and there's nothing I can do about it. You have survived a great ordeal, but yet you've chosen to stay in Starfleet, so I expect you to act accordingly. Is that understood, Lieutenant Commander?
Yes, sir.
You're a damn good engineer, and that's why you're my chief. So let's set this aside so it never happens again. You and me
Sir.
are going to accomplish this mission as best as possible. You are one of my crew, and I will see to it that you come out of this alive.
Sir, I merely wanted to inform you in case I become a burden for the crew, and I would rather die than that.
I will take that under advisement, but let's not speak of that again.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't want this to be a talking point between us. We're both here to make sure this mission goes through, and I need to know that there's no hesitation in the fact that you can trust me with your life as well as me trusting you with mine.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, as you were.
I nod and before I leave, I turn back and salute and say and state, I'm very sorry for my lack of formalities and great disrespect when we first entered the ship, sir.
No problem. You're chief engineer. I figured you'd start figuring things out as soon as we got underway. But know that you have my complete trust. So let's get this done together and get back here so I can have some more real apple pie.
I nod and say, you better save some for me before leaving.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. So there is, of course, a little bit of time before you all would arrive at Pandora's Gate. So any other scenes people would like to get out of the way?
If the doctor wants a visitor.
You know, we're putting it off. So yeah, let's do a quick scene with your physical and sick bay. You can start. I just got to get tokens on there.
I enter sick bay. Hello, doctor. I understand you're looking into the physical fitness of the crew?
Yes, establishing a baseline, so if anything were to occur in the Andromeda Galaxy, I have something to compare notes to, besides having an old Starbase report of your last physical.
Is this for the entire crew?
Yes, senior staff first, the rest of the crew will be following after.
Understood. Just a moment, doctor. I touch my comm badge and Lieutenant Merrick to Commander Morgan.
Morgan here. Go ahead.
I understand from the doctor that he wishes to have the entire crew checked for fitness. Is this what we want to do?
If the doctor has ordered it, then so shall it be.
Very well. Thank you, Commander. Computer, begin level 1 diagnostic on the EMH. Notify myself and the EXO when the results are done.
Okay, computer, of course, chimes that, but you do still have Galen in the room.
The EMH
you
is
do
not
know
active.
that a level 1 diagnostic is literally taking the guts out of the system.
Yeah.
It turns them off.
Yeah, that level 1 is a manual inspection, which you have to clear through the bridge.
Yeah, so
Oh.
maybe not a level 1.
Then I get a beep or something. But
Yeah, level
I want
3
him-
is one of the lowest level automatic check.
Yeah.
Galen will just smile and goes like, I'm not the AMH. I'm not an emergency medical hologram. I'm your CMO. Although we do have
Well,
one.
you should be checked too, Doctor. I move towards the medical bay. The bed.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you're a Vulcan, pure blood, as far as I can see.
Yes, Doctor.
When was your last Ponfar?
I have not had a Pomfar.
Curious, you are the age of adulthood, correct?
A young Vulcan.
But an adult Vulcan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I will look into crew members that may be compatible, see if we have any female Vulcans aboard, if the need arises. There is also the holodeck, and you can challenge someone to a fight. That should help with that, I believe.
If the need arises, Doctor.
It's not if, it's when. Vulcans all go through Ponfar. It was quite an ordeal to actually get this medical information. I had to pull and twist some ears. Sorry for the pun.
That is perfectly fine, Doctor.
And any other medical issues that may not be present on your file currently. And you want me to scan them again? Because I already have 4 more momentum.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Again, unless Merrick has anything he wants to show up during the scan, he checks out.
There might be one issue.
Sure.
Doctor, I understood that you and I will be looking into the radiation effects in the Andromeda Galaxy.
That is correct.
One other possible concern is, though I don't know it to be a fact, is long-term exposure to QSD. I am probably one of the few crew that have been through QSD several times. I was present on this ship several times when it was under the testing stage and break-in period to monitor the engine performance.
Yes, we've had samples sent along with QSD travel. Different organic compounds and matter. They came back fine. I have been monitoring, though, the crew with the last attempt we used of QSD. I'm also looking at your previous file when you first got transferred to the shipyards, and then comparing them to current. So if there is any variations, anomalies, or any alterations to your structure, I should be able to detect it.
Very well, because any such information medically would have to also be considered into our scientific use and understanding of QSD.
First, I want to make sure no one turns into goo.
He nods.
That is a medical term.
Goo, it's official.
Well,
Are we finished, Doctor?
we are finished indeed.
Okay, so I leave the sick bay, and when I do get the results, I'll contact the doctor eventually. Let him know that he is in good physical condition and operating within normal specifications.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And just as an aside, let me know what, like, if you do something like that in the future, let me know, like, your intention. That way I'm not just like, simply because, it is something that does shut off the CMO. But you're fine. I just wanted to bring it up.
On the side, I was planning to do that.
I gotcha. Okay, just, let's see. I believe the only person we really haven't heard from is Mayweather. So, Mayweather, do you have anything going on that we should be made aware of?
I think he disconnected.
He has disappeared.
He did. Well,
He's typing something.
yeah, he is typing something. Well, if and when he comes back, we'll cut to him and see what he's got going on.
Well, we might as well get Morgan in here.
Yeah. Morgan, would you care to get your physical out of the way, or are you blowing it off?
I'm blowing it off.
You're blowing it off. Alrighty.
Nice try. Not today.
Alright.
Refusing an order. Ooh, that goes into the report.
Yeah, that
from the
does go into
captain,
the
no
report.
doubt, too. I seconded that order.
Uh-huh. It's great. It's great development. I love it. Alright, so in that case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to skip ahead a little bit because we are coming up on session time, and I did want to get us at least through the gate. So after some travel at warp speed, eventually you all come to Pandora's Gate itself. Now, the Pandora's Gate is within a subspace node. And for those who are, not aware or need a reminder, a subspace node is basically a bubble of curved space-time that results in an area devoid of any stars or really any stellar bodies. If you watched Enterprise, like the original NX-01, they tested their transporter technology in such a void, and Voyager also went through a rather expansive bubble as one of their episodes. Good news here, the node in question that's surrounding Pandora's Gate is not as big, but you do sort of have to use navigational beacons to make sure you're going in the right direction. But eventually, as all of you at your posts are sort of watching on the view screen, you do see coming into view is a massive structure that is composed of 8 components that sort of interlock with great circular motions. And Merrick, and probably Zava as well as Mayweather, even though Mayweather isn't here, you all would detect that there is being generated at the center of this circular motion of the structure is a subspace portal. Now, the good news is that this is different than the last time we saw it on Ophion. Between now and whenever the Lysithia went through, there are now actually a quite heavy array of turrets, both phaser and torpedo, as well as extensive sensor platforms that are sort of guarding this gate. But at this point, all you need to do, Captain, is give the order, and the Adiona will go through into Andromeda.
All right, final check all stations. Give me a quick level 5 throughout the ship. Let's make sure all the systems are ready, because we may not be coming back this way for a little bit.
All right. So, level 5s go off across the board, and everything's checking out green.
I am scanning the whole ship. For, keep an eye on their biosignatures.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Zava, bring up 1MC.
Done, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting started now. Before us is the gateway to the Andromeda Galaxy. We're going to be in for some intense action, but I have full trust in the faith of the crew that it'll come out with flying colors, so to speak. So with a toast, let's get on our way. Salute. And I'll go ahead and down the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Mayweather, let's get the hell out of here.
Aye, sir. And we sort of see the Adiona go through the gate. And that is actually where we're going to end the session. So, good session, guys. A lot of good RP. And next week, we will pick up right where we left off with you guys emerging on the other side of the gate. I only have a little bit for the players, so obviously you guys stick around for just a couple more minutes. But to anyone watching on Twitch and on YouTube, appreciate you watching. Hopefully you had a good time, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.